Hey everyone, welcome back to MetalDisciple.com's 365 Days of Metal. My name is George, and this is day 191. I'm going to do something today that I haven't done since day 2 of the 365, and that's feature a compilation album. This album probably won't mean much to most people. I'm sure most people have never heard of this album, but it's a very personal selection. This is a compilation I picked up on LP from Kmart somewhere around 1985. This is Crazed, an all-out metal assault. I bought this album for a couple of bucks, and while it isn't actually anything too special, it was my very first taste of a number of well-known bands. So I'm featuring it here today, mostly for sentimental reasons. The opening track was Metal Health by Quiet Riot, a band that I was already quite familiar with when I picked this up. Then there was Deliverance by Queensryche from their first album, The Warning. This was my first taste of Queensryche, and one that didn't do much for me at the time. It wouldn't be until Operation Mindcrime before I started liking Queensryche. Next up was a band called Zebra that apparently had some success in the 80s, but I never heard anything else from them, and I don't even recall what this song sounded like. But after that, well, we had my first taste of Rush with Distant Early Warning from their Grace Under Pressure album. This is a classic track. Finishing out the first side of the LP was my very first taste of Dio, with the track Mystery from The Last in Line. I always say my first Dio was Sacred Heart, but that's because I forget about this compilation. But Mystery was my first Dio song, and I loved it. The second side started off with Rock You from Canadian band Helix. I loved this song. Unfortunately for Helix, they never seemed to break big in the US. Next up, we had Midnight Maniac by Crocus. I read some pretty nasty stuff about these guys in the Dee Snider book, but I still can't help but love this song. I still hear it on the radio all the time. With the possible exception of Dio, the heaviest band on the compilation was Armored Saint and the track Can You Deliver from their album March of the Saints. I never cared for Anthrax with John Bush on vocals, but that's because Anthrax isn't Anthrax without Joey Belladonna. Armored Saint, though, is a completely different story, and this was another track on the compilation that I really loved. The second to last song on here was Don't Stop Running by Y&T. They were another band that had some success in the 80s, but kind of faded away after that. I have a friend who was really big into them, and I liked some of their stuff too. And finally, the last song on the album was Still Loving You by the Scorpions. I'm not sure if I'd heard Love at First Sting by this point. I'm thinking not. But I do know that I played the shit out of Still Lovin' You on this compilation. Of all the tracks on this album, this song most takes me back to those days of my youth. Such a great song from an amazing band. Alright, that's all for today. Listen to today's playlist to hear some songs from Crazed, an all-out metal assault. I'll be back with more tomorrow.